Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our council work session. I'm going to hand it over first to our town manager to go through the protocols.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To begin, I ask everyone to ensure their phone is on silent. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the town's YouTube. For those in the room, it is important that you remain quiet unless participating in the discussion. And if you're participating in the discussion, speak audibly into your microphone. For those on Zoom, it is important that you keep your camera off and microphone muted unless participating in the discussion. If you are participating in the discussion, please unmute yourself and turn on your camera. If this meeting is interrupted for any reason, I will immediately end the Zoom and send the meeting via email. I now turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, EJ. We have an agenda before us. Could I just confirm with everyone that this agenda is okay to go with, Madam President?
It's okay with me.
Okay, any others? Or are Shannon and Kabir online?
No.
Okay,
Shannon won't be here.
Shannon won't be, actually won't be here, but we have a quorum of 3, right? So we're good. Excellent. Okay. So let us get started. In the first clear failure of this new council and mayor, we scheduled this meeting at the same time as the Bruce Springsteen concert.
Oh, no.
So-
It's actually not until 8.
And therefore, we have to do better. So let me be very clear that that's a black mark on us. And the reason I say that is because our building permit administrator clearly has his priorities right and is currently on his way to see the boss. And
Do you think the boss will write a strong protest song?
yeah, so I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic evening if the weather holds. But anyway, as a result of the building for the town permit administrator's report, since he is not here, I suggest that if you have any questions or comments for him, if you could put it in writing and send it to Steve, EJ, and to me, and then we will ensure that any clarifications are provided. So with that, let's move on to the town manager's report. You've all received it, so I'm not going to ask EJ to summarize or anything. You've got it all. So I'm going to open it up for any questions, comments, concerns, any issues that you would like to put on the table regarding the town manager's report. Robin, you want to start with this?
Yeah, this is just to get clarification, that's all. You've got the online permitting system, the resident request center and town mobile phone app, and the project management, that's not all tentative June 26th. Is it all the same thing happening at the same time?
The resident request center and online permitting are different systems, but under the same company. So we're watching them at the same time. The resident or the project management system is under a different umbrella, but we still think it can launch by June 2026.
Okay.
Let me just clarify one thing though. I think June is probably when we will do a bit more testing with more people and things. I think because the system still needs to be rolled out the test. So I don't want people to leave that it's definite that June will be the final rollout. I think there's a little bit of testing and, especially if you have a resident request center, I think, it needs to, and the building permit, maybe some test permits need to be done on it and make sure. So that might take a couple of weeks. So I just want to clarify that by June, we should have something to test. Depending how the test goes, it could be ready to go in the end of June, but it might spill off.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other, Elinda?
I just had a question about, if you could refresh my memory, EJ, about the ARPA funds and how I see here that we have a lot of projects that are being funded by ARPA funds, and once that money is spent, that is it, right? That we get a certain number of those funds, and then that's it. So in terms of having to upkeep and maintain those projects, that would be on us and in the future to do that, I guess, to maintain. Okay. We have quite a few of those actually, which is
Yes.
Right.
So, was Linda on the council when you circulated the ARPA update?
No, but I believe I shared it
Okay.
I'll share it again.
Yeah, so you should have received the ARPA update report, which shows that the balance is about $250-something thousand. Okay.
Are we still confident that's going to be paid?
Yes, this is what I think that we collectively need to ensure that the projects on the list, can be delivered by December, because that is quite a significant chunk of money still. And so I think that that's one of the things that, EJ and I will sit down and take stock. We've asked for a meeting with Dewberry, because at least part of the bottleneck has been Dewberry.
Mhm.
And we need to understand really what their capacity is for ensuring, because we can't get these things done without our engineering consultants being on the ball. And if they do not follow that particular timeline, then these projects get delayed and we're at risk of spending money. So,
I will note, and I will send around an updated report with these
Okay.
updated numbers, but some of that money now has been spent with the timber decking replacement on the bridge.
Excellent.
So a
How many,
chunk of that is gone.
how many projects do we have open? I see a couple of them on here.
These are the remaining projects.
These are just all the remaining ones are
Yeah.
right here.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, good.
Linda, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Debbie?
What are header curbs?
Um,
'Cause I see we have something here which is, it's a townwide curb replacement on page 2, second one down, I guess. There's replacements of all header curbs with combination curb and gutters along both sides of the street throughout the town.
A header curb is just a curb that doesn't have a gutter attached to it as well.
Doesn't have a gutter. So is every corner a header?
Not every corner, a lot of corners in Somerset are.
Okay, and I would identify them because they don't have drains.
Yeah, they don't have the concrete that goes down onto and meets the asphalt, which is curb and asphalt.
Gotcha, okay. And then I saw something here. On the rumble strip restoration and pothole fixes. It says here, the plan is expected to be in place by next week, allowing work to begin. But yet it says the funds are yet committed. Is that not yet, or is that it is committed?
So the funds are committed. We're still, basically, we keep finding more things to fix, and so the final number hasn't been decided. Yes.
Okay. And then I had, town will know the status of its GEM grant. What's the GEM grant?
It's a grant from the Maryland Energy Administration to do some basically green projects that
Alright.
is offered by the state. So if we got this grant, it would be able to fund the garage solar panels, for example.
Good. All right, thanks. That's all my questions for you.
Great, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, Kabir, any questions on the town manager's report?
Yeah, I had two questions, EJ. One was the entrance beautification. What happens next with the manual? Is there sort of a rough implementation plan on your mind on that front? And then I had
Yeah.
another question, but just that one first.
Yeah, so on the beautification, I sent the council the Town of Somerset Sustainable Landscapes Operations and Maintenance Manual. Once that's fully finalized, which should be very soon, then that has the first crop of entrances, and they will help us do those entrances. And then once those entrances are done, we'll move on to the second batch of entrances.
Okay, I see. So it's sort of, we have established how we want the entrances to look as characterized in the manual, and then you're going to work with Groundsmith to then implement the manual,
Yeah.
basically. Okay,
Yes.
all right. And then the second
So
question.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to elaborate a little bit. One of the things that we're going to do is our maintenance staff, we're going to come up with a sort of annual and monthly schedule of tasks for them, so that we will and we have asked, in fact, for that manual to also be printed out and given to them, because they're the ones who are going to have to do most of the work. So, we need to also get a bit of feedback from them. So just at the same time as you are looking at it as a council, I've also asked that they look at it, and what I've said is we will do with them is to come up with essentially a work plan for the maintenance staff, and we will then integrate this manual into that work plan so that we know exactly which month what things are going to be done based on this manual.
Got it. And then the other question I had, just looking down the table, it seems a lot of things, there is a meaningful step or will come to fruition in June or July. And I'm just wondering, is that just purely coincidence? Is it just some things coming together? Is it wishful thinking?
No,
Just
it's just some things coming together kind of,
all right.
it's kind of the spring, fall into summer, basically.
Okay. Yeah, only that if there's a reason to stretch those out, given your workload, just something to think about. But it seemed like a lot coming together in 1 month and then soon after the next month. So just wanted to flag that.
That's definitely a valid point. Yep. Okay. Any other? Good. Okay, so there's nothing else that we can move. I just want to actually just reverse back to a separate point regarding the building permit administrator's report, just to brief all of you on some of the things that we've had conversations, EJ, Steve, Serco, and I. One of the things you might recall from the code is that all applications are due on the 10th day of the month prior to the council meeting. So one of the things we've agreed here is that whenever the application is received, so first of all, we're going to be very strict on that 10th day. If anything comes on the 11th or 12th day, it's not going to be considered the following month. Secondly, as soon as we've received the application package by that 10th day deadline, it's going to be made public. The neighbors will be informed. It's going to be in the town announcements, the following whatever dates, town announcements, and we're discussing that it's going to be on the website. So building permit applications that the town receives will be. Now, in the following week or 10 days or whatever, Steve and Tolbert will do their reviews and get ready for the package for the council meeting. But there's going to be no further back and forth between applicants and Steve and Tolbert after the 10th of the month. All of that should have happened in the pre-meetings, and on the 10th, that's it. Because what I really would like to do is to get all these packages to you as council members much earlier than we've been doing. And the only way we can do that is if we stop the clock and say, that's it, no further changes, because what's happening is some of this back and forth starts happening after the 10th, and we've blown past all deadlines. So I just want to brief all of you, trying to do that, and it'll take maybe a couple of months to get all that done. Okay, so getting back on the agenda, the next item on the agenda is the proposal to establish for the council to establish a development committee. So today is an opportunity to get feedback, to discuss it with our hope that on Monday's council meeting, we can get a council approval to proceed with that. The note is pretty self-explanatory. We've had a lot of discussions in the council about lot coverage, about mass, scale, and so on. There have been multiple work sessions. There have been drafts from Ron for different things. I think the time has now come to have specific recommendations or code amendments to pull it all together. We have, so basically in one line, this is a committee that's going to be charged with recommending code amendments, policy changes for the town over the next 1 year. They may come up with recommendations during their life, but it has a sunset at the end of the next fiscal year, or this next coming fiscal year. And we have a number of residents who are willing and able to volunteer their time. I'm very grateful that Linda has agreed to be the council liaison if the council agrees to establish it. And so with that, let me open it up. Linda, why don't you start?
Thank you, Rohit. Well, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree that the time has come for this committee, so I'm looking forward to taking on the role of helping to be the liaison here on the town council for its creation, for all of the code amendments that we can develop to continue to preserve the character of our community. So I'm fully in favor, as you know, and I think that, like, as you said, the time is right. We have a lot of issues here now, a lot of new development going on in our neighborhood, and it's time to really look at a comprehensive, holistic view on how we can maintain the character of our neighborhood. I'm excited to work with our neighbor volunteers as well to make this happen.
Thank you. Debbie.
I'm really excited about this because one of the things that has been very hard for me as a council member is the ambiguity that comes every time we talk about permits or things are relating to the town like that. And I would like things clearer. And I'm hoping that what this committee can do is to set that clarity for us. So that's where I am.
Great, yes, that is my hope too. Thank you. Kabir.
I'm struggling with this proposal. Will most likely not vote in favor of this committee. One, I think in general, it would be wise for us not to add more committees. Two, I think that the code work is typically the job of the council. So I'm a little nervous about, subset of residents that might have privileged views on how the code amendment should work, and they're non-elected officials. And then thirdly, even if we decide to move forward and you guys decide to move forward, I do think that the way it's written feels like a very wide and unwieldy scope. And so, to the extent we can kind of define and tighten the scope and make it more clear, I think that would be useful. It feels like a lot of different pieces, some even potentially contradictory. And then lastly, and which is a more fundamental issue, is that I struggle with the premise of the committee. It presents new families and new people coming into the town as maybe potentially not in a positive light. I mean, change and renewal is part of what makes our town special. So I don't think that was the intent, but that's sort of how it landed when I read the preamble. So I'm probably not in favor of it, but you guys can feel free to go forward. If you do go forward, my 2 cents would be to tighten the scope and kind of reestablish the premise with clarity, so it doesn't become unwieldy and covers too much ground, and just check for potential contradictions.
Thank you. Robert.
Yeah, I agree partially with Kabir that we need to look carefully at the scope of the committee. For example, I imagine it would be within the scope of the committee to look at how other towns have tried to use code amendments to help shape their housing and what kind of success they've had in doing that. That strikes me as something that would be within the scope. That's it. Would historic, or considering some areas as historic districts, be in the scope of this committee? Is that part of the policies and procedures that you mentioned there? They would recommend that we apply for historic district for some areas. I don't know if that's within the scope. And so that's what I mean about clarifying. Second point is that, where I disagree with Kabir, is I think we need this committee. Sunsetting is right. It shouldn't be a permanent long-term committee. But also think about what the goals of housing are on committee. For me, one of the concerns is that we're losing young families as owners. We do have young families in town who are renters. Yes, we do. But we're not getting young families as owners. And is that a concern that other residents have or not? I don't know. But the point is that what is the goal of committee in thinking through what we want to see in the town, what are their ideas? Is it just about the housing? Is it about the composition of the town? That there too. So yes, I support the idea. I think scope needs to be better defined. That's it.
Can I ask Robin a question?
Yes, it's time for discussion.
Oh.
Yep, go ahead.
Can you quantify what you just said about we aren't getting young families in the neighborhood? Because I guess I don't see that. I guess I see young families coming in, and it would be interesting to know what are those numbers. So that's why I ask, can you quantify it? Maybe Linda can quantify it for us. I don't know.
Well, I hope the committee can quantify it for us.
Okay.
And that is a number of the more expensive homes in town are bought by folks who have mature children already. They're no use for the Dolphins.
I think, if I understand correctly, Robin, that's anecdotal, right? I think there's no, we don't have a survey on that. We don't have data on that. I must confess, when I went around the town over the last 2 months during election season, I didn't come away with that at all. I met many, many young families that have bought their houses. I agree with you, there are quite a few that are renters, but there are far, far more very young children. I know that because every time I ask them, would you like to volunteer for some committee? There was some kid, climbing up the wall or something, a scooter going down the banister. So I think that, I think it's, and I'm anecdotal, you're anecdotal. I think that, we don't have data on that.
Right. No, I agree.
But I think the more fundamental question is, whether this committee should have as its remit trying to figure out how to attract younger families and housing types that attract younger families. That's, I think, the more fundamental point. And I find it a little bit contradictory to say, on the one hand, we should tighten the terms of reference and not to make it too unwieldy, but then also add this rather broader, not even a policy. It's a vision question that we should also try to figure out how to have housing for younger families. I think that this is, in my opinion, it's pretty tight. It's what do we need to, what changes do we need in our policies and our code to address the issues of mass and scale that and lot coverage that has been an issue for many residents. I want to just touch upon the 2 points you raised, Robin. The terms of reference do say historic designation is in the scope of the study, so they should definitely, the committee should look into that as an option, should consult with residents on the openness of residents to that, because that is also something that people may have diverse opinions. And the terms of reference also do require the committee to reach out to other town and other municipalities as to what they have done and what their experiences and lessons learned. So all of that is in black and white in the text.
On data for on the families, just a quick input for you guys. I have been consistently attending, as Linda knows, the newcomers party for the last 3-4 years. And that is one data point, is the attendees of that party, and that those lists are available. You can ask Phyllis and the existing committee members. And it's very clear from that data that it's net new families consistently, at least for the last 3 to 4 years. So in terms of one quick kind of dipstick assessment on this question, the newcomers party attendees and the lists for the last 3-4 years are handily available, and we can look at that if you like.
Right. Again, I'm not trying to say, I'm not trying to establish that we're not getting young families. What I'm trying to say is what's in the minds of committee members, and how are we communicating that to them? Is it just about the houses, or is it about the composition of the town?
It's just about houses. I think the terms of reference is very clear that we're not going to get into a discussion on on types of houses, of single family versus multifamily, duplex versus townhouses, and so that is not in the proposal. If that is what you're driving at. And I think that, you know, asking this committee to come up with recommendations to bring more younger families into the town, I think this would definitely be beyond the scope. And I think it would do exactly what Kabir is referring to, which is it would be rather unwieldy. And I think they're going to have their hands full already with what we are proposing. So
Well, I mean, if that's it, then it's just make it clear that what it's about is the types of homes and
yes,
limiting them. That's
Yeah.
that's really what it is.
yeah. No, I think that's stated, as I said, pretty explicitly in the document. Okay, Linda, anything else from you?
I do not have anything else.
Okay. Debbie, another
Nope.
one? No?
Thank you.
Okay. Good. So we've got a sense of the room here. I think that I think there's clearly an openness to bring it for decision on Monday. Next Monday is the council meeting. I think we've heard from all the council members who are here as to what their positions would be next Monday on this. So, okay, good. Well, I think that was good to get everyone's feedback, and with that, let us then move on to the next agenda item, which is a proposal to reorganize the Somerset Town Committee system. So I just, again, just to say a few words, the proposal is to do a little bit what Kabir talked about. We have too many committees. And so to rationalize them, to reduce the burden on our town staff who have to staff each and every one of these committees and follow up with them on all the various decisions and meetings and so on. We don't really have critical mass for many of these committees. So, the proposal is to rationalize them and come up with a committee structure that I think is more fit for purpose. So there are, as you see, it's pretty well defined. There are 6 specific recommendations that on which we would like council approval on Monday. Some of it, is some committees are not going to be affected at all. But the one thing that you will see in the second half of the paper is that I do want to have a bit more structure with the committees. I think that, we need to have a common understanding with the committee chairs as to what is expected of them, how they interact with the council, and so on. So, there's some ideas there. I don't think that's so much a council decision issue. The council decision is more the reorganization of the committees. Which ones we're going to retire, and then which ones we're going to stand up as new committees. And then the last point I'll make is obviously there is one committee that is been operating in a gray zone, and that is the swim team committee. And I think clearly we need to have a bit more discussion about that and to have some clear historical facts on the table regarding that committee. So I'd like to do one thing to keep the discussion a bit more manageable. Let's discuss the other recommendations first and then come to the swim after that, because as I said, there are some legal and historical aspects that I would like Ron to touch upon, and then I don't want the discussion going all over the place with bouncing off these different recommendations. So my suggestion is that we can focus on 5 of the recommendations first, and then we'll have a second round of discussion very specific to the swim team. And I would like to just make a brief introduction on the issues there, and then I will ask also Ron to clarify some points regarding that. So with that in mind, if we could open the floor to discuss, um, as I said, the 5 recommendations other than recommendation 2. We'll come back to recommendation 2 in another round of discussion. So let me open that up. Debbie, why don't you go first?
I am so in favor of this because ever since I've been on the council, one of the things I used to always say to Jeffrey is we have too many committees. We just have too many and it's too hard to cover them, not only for us as council members, but to get members. You know, I know I'm on the communications committee, I'm the liaison, and we don't have enough members, but we really, you know, we beat the bushes we have great members. Let me just say that we are, I think it is the best committee in the house, all right? But we could use more members, but they're hard to come by. It's just, we don't have enough people that maybe want, can, should be to be members of committees, because it is work. And, so I think by having less, we will have more. We'll have more of a pool of people that can participate and volunteer. And I think it really tightens us up as an organization. So that's where I'll leave it.
Thanks. Linda.
I'll just add to what Debbie says, which is that, you know, streamlining and consolidating makes a lot of sense for a lot of these committees. Obviously I'm new to the team here, but, just having read through all of the remits for all of these committees, and the fact that we struggle with getting, you know, neighbors to volunteer. And then in addition to having our staff to have to do the work behind the scenes is becoming burdensome. So I definitely support the reorg and the streamlining a lot and consolidation of the committees.
Okay, thanks. Robin.
Yeah, I agree that we need to do something. Streamline consolidation is a good approach. One of the results of this, though, is that at least 2 of the committees have very expanded mandates than previously. And one of the things that we need to make clear is that committees can have subcommittees. So that if there's a particular topic or set of topics that are needed, then a subcommittee can be formed in it to do that. I think that's important. Similarly, we want to make sure that there's expertise in the different functions that are going to be in the combined committees, you know. And that falls on you, Rohit, because you're the mayor and you're recruiting members. The obvious one is that the National Archives could be in the new, I forget the name of it, you're calling it. Anyway, the point is we need a historian on that committee, you know, because that's could be part of it. And there is no historian on communications. Community engagement committee. Those are just thoughts, but yes, I fully agree with the need to shrink the number of committees.
Great, thanks. I mean, and I think both your suggestions are very well taken, and I absolutely agree. And I will add a sentence there that to clarify for the committee chairs that they can set up subcommittees if necessary, because as you say, especially for the committees that have got a larger remit, not everybody may be interested in everything, and so it's maybe, you know, more streamlined to do that. And I fully agree on the expertise part of it as well. Thanks. Good points. Yeah, Kabir, over to you.
Yeah, in terms of you know, sunsetting equity and inclusion, history and archives, I think that absolutely makes sense, given I think what I understood you were saying, Debbie, that these are not active committees and we are struggling to get people to engage with them. I think on the equity inclusion, I'm hoping we would all embody those ideas, we embody those principles. We probably don't need a separate committee on that front. On the history front, I'm hoping we will continue to invest in building our archives, given the historic nature of our town, and hopefully that'll happen at the town hall. I think on the newcomers, if I read the document, understood the document, that function will now be part of the community engagement committee. So presumably those members now will be part of the community engagement committee. I think I know Linda carries a lot of weight on that event, but I do think that they seem very engaged and helpful. Linda can clarify on pulling up that event, but by making it part of a broader group, maybe it won't be just this newcomers party. There'll be continual engagement with newcomers. So I kind of like the spirit of that idea. One quick side observation for community engagement, that the first bullet is very specific, tactical, but the other two bullets seem more strategy and advice. And so I just wanted to kind of, sounds like there is a kind of clear set of recurring annual things that the community engagement committee would do, but in the short term, it might provide advice and recommendation strategically as well. And it sounded like that was the intent. So that was the second point. The third point, I see that environment is meant to be subsumed under PNRC. I think my observation over the years is that there are very strong voices in the environmental committee, and they have a very strong kind of agenda, and it has, I would say, net positive for the town. Frankly, they brought always new ideas that we have considered. They've been very tactical ideas. So in terms of sort of, it's not Debbie's original premise for this, which is that we are struggling to get volunteers. It's not very active. It actually has been a very active committee. So I just want us to keep that in mind as we move forward with that. And hopefully all the people involved are pleased with it, because my observation has been that the environment has been very active and engaged. And, we don't always have to agree with their ideas, and people seem to react very strongly to their ideas, but they are an active group and have made a number of suggestions over the years. So that was the one observation there. And then on public safety, we are dropping safety. And so that was the only question I had, is that okay? And so, how do we think about that? And where does safety then sit? And this is also another committee that has been very active, is my observation. I think, Rohit, you were part of that. So it doesn't support the original premise. So at the same time, I do appreciate the principles behind the expanded remit. Just like the development committee, I would caution, if it's too broad and amorphous, it will be less effective. So to the extent we can refine it, that would be good. So one, what about safety? Does that matter? Two, frankly, the original premise doesn't hold here. It's been a very active committee. And Kumar Vaswani can correct me. He just piped in on environmental committee. So you can tell me if it's not true. And then thirdly, I appreciate the logic of the new Envision committee, but just caution on making it too amorphous and too broad. And then I think I had one last comment. This is a bit of a throwaway comment. I think that it's good that we have Finance, Revenue, and Budget Committee, but having been engaged on it for almost 5 years, my thought that has emerged to me is that there might be some benefit in bringing on a CFO function within Town Hall. So to the idea that there is a group of volunteers that actually drive our town's budget, it has worked out very well for us, very favorably. We've had very talented individuals engaged on it, but structurally, I always thought that as being an odd thing. And so nothing for us to fix now. It's working really well. And we are not proposing any change here, but in the context of discussing committees and the future of committees, just wanted to present this idea that perhaps we do need a fractional CFO in-house, so to speak. And then the committee becomes an advice and consent committee, not a build the budget and structure the budget committee. So something to consider down the road. Those are my comments outside of the swim team. I'm sorry we all got the email from the swim team, so happy to discuss that at another time.
Yeah, that'd be next. Thanks. Just, I want to clarify just a couple of things, Kabir, that you raised. One is public safety is not being dropped. So the document says clearly, the mandate says and promote a safe environment. These services include public safety. So I have consulted with chair of the Public Safety Committee in discussing this change. And absolutely, I fully agree with you that the Public Safety Committee has worked very well and has therefore earned the upgrade. And I think, there have been some very good ideas that how we can sort of enhance this committee. By the way, the town of Chevy Chase has a public services committee that looks at public safety and all of these other. And in my discussions with the now former mayor, Barney Rush of town of Chevy Chase, he basically said this was actually the best committee in the town of Chevy Chase. They're very focused on very specific things related to sort of residents' quality of life and quality of services provided by the town. So this is, I cannot claim any originality in this idea. Basically, in my meetings with some of the mayors and other council members of other towns, this was brought home to me quite strongly. And I think if we have a good chair who is dedicated to public safety also, I don't think it'll go away. Yeah, the second point I wanted to make is that I think you said that the Environment Committee will be subsumed or wrapped into the PNRC. Just to be very clear, neither committee is being wrapped into the other. Both committees will be sunset and a new committee will be established that will combine the terms of reference for both. So the issue is that we have two committees that are good. We have two committees that have been very helpful in advising the town, but these two committees have overlapping mandates, and I think a more rational approach is to essentially propose that it's not one taking over the other. So I don't want anybody to walk away from here thinking that somebody lost and somebody gained. It's a win-win for all parties, because we are basically proposing a new committee that takes on the responsibilities of both committees, and hopefully we will have no concerns about the environment is not being adequately looked at, or this is too much about parks or whatever. I think that again, the message to all the committee members will be that if we need subcommittees, we will do subcommittees. Okay, good. So I think we'll bring this back with definitely the one change that Robin recommended, which is to be explicit about the subcommittees. And I definitely take on board the point that we have to ensure expertise. And look, yes, you're right. The burden does fall on me to recruit. But if any suggestions, recommendations that you have, drop me a line.
You want our help? Oh.
So, okay. So let me then move on to item number 6 on our agenda, which is I think an initial discussion on something that came up in a prior council meeting. And I believe that at least a couple of council members have mentioned at that meeting that it's possible that the way in which the current code is written with respect to requirement for driveways or permeable driveways is perhaps not maybe not fit for purpose, and there are some issues there. So this is just initial discussion, and based on the discussion here, then we can figure out, EJ, Ron, and I, what to bring back to a future work session. So I want to turn over to you, Robin, first, because I know you had the last meeting mentioned this. Shannon too, but
Both Shannon and I brought it up.
I'll let you introduce.
Yeah. The problem is, as Shannon identified, almost no permit has actually come up with a permeable driveway. And we've given variances and exceptions for them. Part of the reason for that is that a considerable portion of the driveway cannot be permeable by county regulations, which is 10 feet, within 10 feet of the house or garage or similar structure. It's also, we tried modifying it once by saying that you don't need to have a permeable driveway if your slope is greater than 5%. Now we got a case where there was no slope at all in it, and that's the reason for not having a permeable driveway. I mean, we can't keep on modifying it with every exception either. So let's look at it again. What were we trying to do? What we were trying to do was stop that adding to the stormwater flowing to the neighbors. That was what it boiled down to. You can't get away with an impermeable driveway. But if you look at what the guys have done, they've all managed to control the flow of water from the driveway by one way or another. So what we need to do in the code is tell them to control the flow of the water from the driveway by one way or another. Those ways could include making the driveway permeable, but that is not the only option. The driveway, that's really the way to interact with.
Great, thanks, Robin. Kabir?
You know, this requirement for permeable driveway was one of the outcomes of the stormwater process we engaged in. And so it was one of the ways in which we were addressing, sort of on-site stormwater management. I think I mentioned this to Robin as we walked back from one of our recent meetings that, I understand there are a number of permeable driveways in town that predated this code requirement. Residents have built permeable driveways, and I don't have a study or an assessment of them, but they seem to function really well. And we've had, in terms of whether the code is this particular intervention has been effective or not, my general feeling it's too early to tell. We've had one approval, we've made exceptions to the others. I don't have a sort of aggressively formed view that it's failed, and it just feels like it's too early to tell. Keeping in mind that there are driveways that have been built in town and it's functionally doable. I do think that at the end of the day, there are a lot of unique lots in Somerset. If anything that I've learned over the last 5 years is that each lot has sort of unique elements, and so that's why we have a council, and that's why we have these hearings, and that's why variances are brought to us, because we do have to consider specific conditions. And so I'm sorry if it's not a completely formed view, but those are my immediate thoughts on this issue.
Yeah, good, thank you. Elinda?
I am also going to have to do a little bit more study on this issue so I can understand the history and the ins and the outs as well. So I don't have, like Kabir, a formed position on it either, but again, this sort of will just, and I assume if we go ahead with our development committee team, this will be something that'll be, a part of that as well. And our holistic views of how we look at, what our houses look like and how we maintain the character of things. So I'll have to do more digging on this, but I'm open to hearing all views and how we can move forward on this topic.
Thanks.
Couple of things. One is, I would love to know what the Stormwater Management Committee would think of this. What would their opinion be, So that's one thing. The other thing is, I love permeable driveways. I wish I could have one. I think they're great things. So I would have to, I too don't know enough right now to make a good opinion about this. I too need to learn more. So I have to leave it at that.
Okay. I think, my takeaway from this is that it would be useful if EJ and Steve came back with a short paper on the experience of, we should look at the data, right? How many, I think Robin said we've approved several, but only one has had, but I'd like to see that actually documented. So I think the first thing is we should really gather all the data. How many permit applications came to us? How many variances did we provide? how many permeable pavers were put in, and so on and so forth. I think it's also good, it might be a good idea at least to seek feedback from those who are members of a stormwater committee. The committee doesn't exist anymore, but they're town residents. One can always seek their views, and we can do that. I think that's. But I think the first step is really to gather some data together on how many variances, how many permeable drivers. I think driveways. I think I'll tell you one concern I have, just Robin, based on sort of the hypothetical or actual numbers that you might have had, is that if we did away with this, the way it is currently structured, even let us say, for the sake of argument, that there were 10 applications, 9 asked for variances, and there was only 1 permeable driveway. But at least it was 1. 1 is better than 0. The question is, if we got rid of this text, would the number be 0? And as Kabir said, what's wrong with giving 9 variances? Some may think it's not the right thing, but some may say, well, that's exactly what the council needs to do, to judge each case. And if there are 9 make the case for not having a permeable driveway, so be it. But at least we got the 10th, we got 1 in, and 1 is better than 0. So my concern with removing this is, are we creating basically a situation where people will say, well, it's not required at all, not doing it. And we may go from 2 or 3 or some small number to an even smaller number. And I don't think that's a positive. So, yeah, go ahead.
The goal is not a permeable driveway. The goal is to capture stormwater. That's it, so that it doesn't disturb your neighbors. That's it. And if a permeable driveway works to do that, great. But if it doesn't work, find another way to capture the stormwater from your driveway.
Okay.
And
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So
that's basically the direction you want to go with respect to an amendment.
Yes.
may I say one quick thing on that?
One sec, just one.
Yeah.
So what you're proposing is flexibility to the applicant to comply with the stormwater drainage requirements without specifying, as it does, that all new driveways, if that's what the language is.
This permeable driveway is one of the options, but not the only option.
Understand. Okay, sorry, could be. Go ahead.
I only wanted to say, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I thought that was a very good point, Robin. And if memory serves me well, in almost every variance case, they are doing other things to capture water. So we were feeling satisfied overall that there were sufficient interventions. I think the most recent one where we decided there was no need for a permeable driveway was one of those. So when we collect the data, we will feel, that's why I said this was one of the interventions coming out of the stormwater recommendations. And so when you look at it in total, we might be doing well in addressing those concerns. So I think that's a very good point, and I appreciate it, Robin.
Yeah. Okay. I just realized that I skipped past the swim committee business.
Yeah.
So I want to come back
I
to
was
that.
going to bring that up to you.
I was waiting for you, the council president, to set me straight, and you just let me keep going.
Let you finish. I
Yeah.
was coming back to
So-
get you.
So, okay, so that's clear. I will work with EJ and Steve to come back with some data, with some possible alternative language. Maybe we'll run it by some of the former members of that committee. Right, sorry, just to go back in a rather unstructured way we're discussing this, let me go back to the recommendations specific to the swim team committee. So let me just start off by saying, historically and currently, there is a swim team committee. In 2019, when the council streamlined the code, it decided that the charters of all the committees should be removed from the code in order to give more flexibility. This was done for all committees except one. Ron and I have gone through the history. There was a lot of back and forth in the year 2020 on a revised charter. And then COVID came. The chair of the committee at that time The much missed and late Jeff Mascott was, as you know, fell ill. And that discussion, therefore, essentially ran its course and into limbo. And as a result, for the last 6+ years, we've had a swim team committee that hasn't really functioned as a swim team committee, in the sense that the others have. But I want to be very clear that, and Ron, please correct me if I'm wrong or confirm. I will hand over to you. The current, when the code was amended to streamline, it did not say there shall be no more swim team committee. The understanding of the council at the time was very clear that all the committees, including the swim team committee, would have a charter, and for reasons that we can discuss, or as I said, I don't know how many of us were in the room. It didn't happen. So the question before the council now is the recommendation that's for you, but it's not the only option. There are other options, and we can discuss all of them. But the option on the table is that the swim team committee function like the other town committees, as it did before 2019. And as some or most of you know, some of us were around in the pre-2019 years. We were Dolphin families. Some were in leadership roles. And so this is not a change from history. It's actually a return to what it was until 2019. And then by accident of fate and whatever reason there may be, we have now entered a gray zone. So I want to be very clear what the history of the last 6+ years has been, what the status of this swim team was until 2019 for many, many, many years. And the proposal, as I said, it's one option. We are happy to discuss other options. The status quo is not an option. You're the council, you decide, but I just want to say that I really don't think that you should consider the status quo as acceptable, but that's your decision on Monday. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Debbie first.
As a past team rep, did my years as that, worked with the MCSL, worked with all the families. We had a very vibrant swim team when I was rep. It was huge. I wish I still had those files and those numbers, but it was huge. I don't see what the big deal is why we can't have a swim team committee. It's just it falls under our umbrella. We fund the swim team. If the swim team wasn't funded by us, it might be a different conversation. But if you're funded by us, you need to fall under the umbrella, and we need to be a committee. One of the things, and I know Kabir, you can talk more to this. When I read the email from Kelly, for those who don't know, Kelly is Kabir's wife, and one of the concerns was the Open Meeting Act and talking about children. And I guess my antenna went wobbling all over the place. What do you mean talking about children? The swim team committee should not be discussing children. Children should be discussed by the coaches. And yes, sometimes a rep might go to the coach and say, there's a problem with this child. Can you handle it? What can you do? But for a team, for a committee to be talking about children in the neighborhood is totally inappropriate. And as a parent, I know I'd be outraged if I knew that my child was part of that kind of conversation. I really don't understand then what the problem is with the Open Meeting Act, why that is an issue here. And maybe that's something more for Ron to talk about, but I think that we need to move forward with creating this, recreating this committee, talk through with the committee members now, and to find out how we make it work. What's untenable about this is what I don't understand. Why is this an untenable situation? So that's where I am.
Thanks, Debbie. Just as a point of order, Debbie made a reference to a letter. Is this letter publicly available? Because
It went to all of us. It
it
went
came to the council, so just, Ron.
And it is a public record.
Yeah, I mean, I can
well, it went,
share it.
Yeah, so we just, I mean, again, if we're gonna be discussing something in a meeting,
okay.
make a reference to it, can we just make sure that it becomes part of the public record for this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So let me just go around the room. Erlinda.
Thank you. As the rookie council member here, I have to respectfully disagree with my council president. We're here to talk this through, right? So, and I, again, hear all that you're saying. I am coming it from the point of, reading and understanding what the purpose of committees are here at the town council. And based on what sort of the purpose of the swim team is, we can't be doing things like or shouldn't be doing things like recommending policy, making code amendments, and things like that. So I think for that purpose, I don't think that or disagree that the swim team should be an actual committee, because that's not the role of the swim team to make such policy recommendations. So I'm going to leave my view there, but I'm still open to hearing other viewpoints, of course, and have given this some thought. But as it is right now on that note, based on what the mission of the committee is, I believe that the swim team, should remain as it is, or perhaps at the most, we could consider it having be subsumed under the pool committee.
So just to clarify, and I'm gonna give everybody a chance to speak, so I just want to clarify, Erlinda. The current situation, because as I was saying, that's why the current situation is not tenable. The current situation is that legally it is a town committee and it is not complying with the requirements of a town committee. So this council needs to take a decision. Either it becomes a town committee fully and meets all the requirements of a town committee, or it is something else. Staying the way it is now in this gray zone, I think, is not, and I'm going to turn to Ron to explain that after we've had a chance for Kabir and Robin to speak. Then I'm going to turn to Ron, but I would like each council member to weigh in. But I want to really put that on the table because just in case Kabir and Robin repeat that point of keeping it as it is, say it, but please don't explain it, because Ron is going to explain why it's not such a good idea. So anyway. Was there, sorry, anything else?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with much of what Melinda said, but yes, the dilemma is that it can't stay as it is because it is not complying with procedures, and it leads to embarrassing situations when they come up with money to be spent and we're stuck. What I suggest is that it becomes standing subcommittee of the full committee. And I think that would mean that the members themselves do not have to comply with the Open Meetings Act as long as somebody on the parent can get like the Open Meetings Act. Do people have?
Sorry, Robin, I think you may want to speak into the mic. I don't know.
Sorry.
Can you hear everything that Robin said?
I got the gist
No.
of it, but your voice did trail off at the end.
Sorry, yeah, I slipped there. Yeah, the idea is that it would be a standing subcommittee, which would mean that they wouldn't have the burdens of the Open Meeting Act on them. They don't actually need to keep official records as a standing subcommittee unless they want to. But any reports or requests for money that they went through would go through the full committee to us. So we would have an official committee recommendation for money. That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Thank you, Robin. Kabir.
I'm sort of aligning, obviously, and agree with Erlinda and Robin, and well done, rookie council member Erlinda. I think that was well articulated. I don't have a clear view on mechanically how it works as a subcommittee. I don't have a sense of that, but you know the way you're setting it up, Rohit, if we do need to go in a particular direction, I would entertain that to understand that better, especially given the note we got from the board. But the one thing I would say, Debbie, you know, to the points you raise, and both you, Rohit, I would encourage you to talk to the committee. I would talk this out with the committee members, all of them, and some of them have been around since Jeff Mascott's time and just talk through it. I mean, look, at the bottom line is this is a very successful thing in our town, and Debbie, you were very involved with it, and Rohit, you involved with it, or Linda, you and I involved with it. It's a very successful thing. It's a great thing for our town, and it's been very good. I've been actually building the history pages of our website here. You know, I'm office support and admin for the swim team, so I'm not the board. So you got to talk to the board. And you know, and those numbers are there, Debbie, by the way, and I actually need your picture for the website. I'll come back to you. And so I think we are, you know, it's bottom line, it's a very successful thing. It's been going really well. It feels like we're just trying to figure out the mechanical aspect of it to kind of bring it into compliance if it's not in compliance. I would encourage you guys to talk it out with the swim team committee. I think that obviously there's nothing nefarious going on talking about children. It's all well intentioned. As you know, Debbie, MCSL rules have safe sport requirements, and I think there might be incidences of safe sport that have come up historically that the board has to discuss with the coach and independent of the coach. I think that's probably stuff that's on their minds, but you got to talk to them, you know, and talk it out with them on that front. That would be my view. But principle wise, I'm probably more aligned with what Alinda and Robin are saying here.
Can I speak for him?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think just before Debbie, Debbie, I fully agree with you. I think, you know, I think it's a good idea to have a conversation with the members of the committee. As multiple times you said board, you said committee. This part of the confusion is what is it?
Well, I only called it what they call themselves.
Exactly right.
That's all.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I think, you know, from as the town government, we'll call them the committee because that's Ron advises me what the current status is. But I fully agree with you that I think the next step is a conversation, and so I do intend to reach out to them and have a follow-up conversation on.
Yeah, please include Debbie. I think Debbie, you may want to
Yeah.
be part of that. Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, Debbie, over to you.
thank you. The reason I don't think this should be a subcommittee to the pool committee is that this group, the committee, the board, whatever it is, works very well. And I think they are their own entity and need to stay that way as their own committee. And I think we might be talking about a lot of semantics here. I don't know. And I think sitting down with the group is what makes sense. And I did
Yes.
mention that earlier
Yes.
to Rohit. We need to sit down with everybody and talk this through because we just might be talking, you know, again, you know, we're saying the
That
same
is that is
things.
that is my feeling. That's
Yes,
why
and
I recommend we talk it out. Like you mentioned, you were a rep and there was a committee at that time, and so you complied with the open. It would be good to just let them know how that worked and how it could work.
Open
Yeah.
meetings, that word open meetings never came up. Okay.
Well, but that is on their
Days.
minds because as a
Okay,
swim team
and I
committee-
get that. That's why we
Yeah.
need to talk about it so they
Yeah.
understand what it really is and isn't.
Yes, I
Okay.
think it would be good
But-
to talk the
Yes.
mechanics of it
Yes.
more than
Great.
I
anything.
agree.
I think we're all in
I
agreement.
think
on
we're
that.
all in agreement on the next step. We may not all be very clear where we're going, but at least we know what the next step is.
I don't think it's
Um,
difficult. I don't think this
I
is a
think,
big deal.
I think that I'm gonna hand it over to Ron to give his perspective. But one thing I'll just say, I'm pretty sure that Ron's going to say that a subcommittee of a town committee will have to comply with the Open Meetings Act. So I think that's
Yes.
if the
Yeah,
Open
depending on
Meetings
how
Act
it's
is-
formed, yeah.
Yeah, so, but Ron has spent quite a bit of time recently, but he also has a significant historical institutional memory on this. So and you know, he's done excellent work today, also brainstorming on some options. But Ron, over to you just to explain to us how you see things.
Sure, yeah, just a bit of background. as the mayor noted, in 2019, some of you will recall the town went through a comprehensive code rewrite. And as part of that, there was a discussion then too about streamlining and standardizing committee operations. And it was noted that it was odd that different committees had different provisions, different powers in the code, and there was a lot of detail in the code. Whereas in neighboring jurisdictions, committees usually operate according to separate documents, charters, rather than having all their operational provisions in the code. So those operational provisions were removed from the code with the intent of putting them into individual charters. But as the mayor noted, the adoption of the swim team charter stalled, but the status never changed. It was then and is still now a town committee. I think it was noted at that time in 2019 that the swim team wasn't really functioning as it should as a town committee, complying with sunshine laws and the like. So, as the mayor noted, one option is to adopt a town committee charter requiring compliance with applicable state laws, or to consider some other arrangement. It's similar to what Council Member Barr has noted. And the mayor asked me to take a look at some of the other teams in the Montgomery County Swim League. And there are 90 teams in the league. Most of them are private, except for two, not excluding the town of Somerset. And there are some others with municipal designations, like the Garrett Park Swimming Pool Association, but that's a private, not-for-profit corporation that runs independently of town government, leases the pool in the town exclusively, and operates the swim team, the Garrett Park Ladybugs. North Chevy Chase Swimming Pool Association has a similar private arrangement. But interestingly, we did look at Poolsville Piranhas and the Rockville Rays. The Poolsville Piranhas are sponsored by the Montgomery County Department of Rec Aquatics Program, but there is an arrangement there that's sort of like a booster club, whereas it looks like there is a group of volunteer parents managing the day-to-day operations, but the team is sponsored and must comply with county MCR program requirements. So we reached out to the assistant manager over at Poolsville to find out a little bit more about how they're operating, and it might be helpful to talk to someone on the Piranhas in leadership as well. That might serve as a model to reconfigure the current framework, sort of as the mayor and council member Barr have noted could be an option. And the Rockville Rays looks like that's similar as well. So according to their website, their team is, quote, operated through a partnership between the Recreation and Parks Department and the Rockville Rays Parents Group. And according to their website, members of the swim team, they pay a $100 fee to the Rockville Rays Parents Association, and then they pay $160 to the city of Rockville so that they can have membership to the Rockville Swim and Fitness Center. And again, they got to comply with Rockville requirements, but it looks like this parent group or booster group manages the day-to-day operations. And so one option is to reconfigure the Somerset swim team so that it's not a committee and is instead perhaps a private 501c3 nonprofit or booster club or what have you. But as the mayor has said, I would say the current arrangement is not tenable. And for lack of a better phrase, this issue has been a thorn in the side for many years since I joined you in 2018. There's been discussions about how it should be reworked, and And one of the prior discussions was similar to the Poolsville approach, whereas you set up something that's like a Department of Recreation, but then there's a private group of volunteers or a booster club or a 501c3 that's actually managing, but the town could continue to support financially with funds to hire the coaches and granting use of the pool, obviously.
Can I?
But I would note that in 2019, I think it was thought too. Again, let's just say it again. And I think Councilmember Heller confirmed that the swim team for decades, I think has not really considered itself subject to the Open Meetings Act and other provisions of local government applicable to committees.
Thank you, Ron.
Just one
Kabir,
quick thing.
yeah, Kabir, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Two quick things. Ron, in terms of reaching out to other teams, the swim team interacts with those guys all the time. Just if you wanted to get in touch with whatever the Poolsville or the Rockville, the Piranhas, they would know the reps and they would, so if to the extent you want that data, you want to talk to people, please let them know. They'll reach out for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I figured Matt Zaft would have a quick line to the leadership.
Yes, you can ask Matt. He can ask everyone. Each of those guys, my impression has a relationship with different people across the MCSL system. The second thing is that on the 501c3, I've heard this as an idea that has come up before, but we have long kind of maintained that might create a bit of a distance between us and the swim team. I think that's what I've heard in council conversations over the years, that we want it to be a town thing. And if it's a 501c3, it will be less of a town thing. And it's, we were talking about the history, Debbie, 120 years of the town, 50 years, the swim team has been part of it. So I think it's been more of a cultural kind of question, not a practical question, Ron, on the 501c3. So, but when Rohit and Debbie, you talk to the swim team board committee, this could be another area to explore and discuss with them. I should add, when you talk to them, please also talk to them about the budget concerns that have been brought up, and because it's best to discuss that with them and kind of get those clarifications, because I believe those are also lingering questions that have previously brought up. Not an important issue relevant to this topic, but if you're going to have the conversation, might as well cover all ground.
Okay, thanks. I must confess that I have no idea what this budget issue that is referred to. I really wish I knew.
No budget.
I don't know what the issue is. I cannot commit to talking about it.
No, I mean, there was a question from Debbie about the 50th celebration line item.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes.
Yeah. I was saying if you have any outstanding questions,
okay,
just
get
them clarified. Yeah.
That's.
I actually had a question about not only the 50th, but I wanted to understand the other money that was being used for the social things.
Yeah.
So that was, and I think sitting down with the with the board, committee, whatever you are, is great. It's long overdue, and I think it will really clear things up for all of us and basically say we are on the same team here. We are not opposed to each other.
Of course.
We want this. We just want to do it right. That's all.
Yeah.
But we are not adversarial here.
That goes without saying, considering that some of us spent 18 years of our life or whatever, 14 plus 4, 18 years of our life. The deck, it goes without saying.
Right. On the deck.
And so I think, we will take that next step. As Ron has pointed out, there are options. There is the committee option. There is the Poolsville model. There is the Rockville model. I have actually been in touch with the Rockville, the manager of the Rockville Department of Recreation all day today. And it'll be good to have a conversation with the committee to just for them to know what all these other towns and jurisdictions have done. Because one way or the other, the current arrangement is going to change, whichever model we go with. And it will require adjustments on the part of a lot of us to do that. Good. So I think
One quick follow-up
yes.
question.
Yeah.
Given there's going to be this follow-up conversation, and as some of you know, and I'm on automation, so I know this intimately, we are about to kick off the season. Time trial will be a week from Saturday.
Yeah.
So, that is all this quote unquote board is focused on, as you can imagine.
Of course.
And so it would be worth sort of figuring out. I think they would probably want to know what this means for the current season more than anything else, because, they would like to be functional and execute on the plans that have been in place for a few months. So nothing has been said to me, but that would be my guess. So
It's a
just
fair
keep that in
point.
mind. Yeah.
So let me just say where I come from. I'm nothing if not pragmatic. I have no interest in disrupting the current swim season, which is the most important weeks of our kids' lives. So obviously we're not going to do anything that in any way disrupts that. I think the next step is to have a meeting at the convenience of all parties concerned. We will, as Debbie has said, we want to try to understand exactly what the concerns are with respect to the committee structure. I think we'll talk through some of our concerns that have come up. Just to Belinda, to your point, I mean, the swim team does make recommendations on budget. It does make recommendations on coaches to hire. These are governmental functions that the committee has an advisory function. So, this is why we have to sort all of this out. And I think, as I said, there are. It's not like we don't have models to follow, and I think we can work all of this out. And the main thing is everybody has to realize that we're, as Debbie said, we're all on the same side. We have to assume positive intent on everybody's part. No one is, nobody in the swim team is rogue, and we don't have a town council or a mayor who's trying to demolish the swim team. All of this is none of these statements make any sense whatsoever. So, with that, let me just say what I'm going to propose is that when we come back with this proposal for the committees on Monday, we're going to table recommendation 2 because it's possible that we would not have finished the conversations with the swim team. Let me call it leadership, for lack of any other term. And if we are able to sort it out between now and Monday, great. But as I said, I like to get documents out to the council earlier rather than later. Today is Wednesday night, so I think to be again practical. So this recommendation 2 we'll table. But we'll come back with hopefully on Monday council decisions on the rest of the reorganization of committees, and we will hopefully be able to come to the council with a consensus recommendation on how the swim team is managed down the road. And as I said, you have my assurance there's no intent to in any way disrupt the current season in any way. They need to do what they have to do to make sure that our children have the best summer they can have. Okay. So with that, let me conclude this part of the work session. As you know, we have executive session that I've requested, and we can hopefully start that a bit early. We can maybe get out a bit early. So maybe, EJ, you can advise logistically how this works.
Well, yeah, so in terms of the Zoom, I will remove everyone except Ron and Councilmember Kumar into a waiting room and then lock the meeting so that nobody can join. And then so
I don't think you need me for this. Correct me
No,
if I'm
we
wrong.
don't need Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you just need a motion to enter closed session, and the motion is done in open session. So those
So
present.
moved. So moved.
So the motion
Second.
needs to cite the authority, and so that
Oh.
would be to enter closed session under General Provisions Article 3305B1 to discuss a personnel matter over individuals over whom the council has jurisdiction. And then EJ will have the mayor execute that written statement for closing the meeting, and that written statement for closing the meeting needs to be posted on the website for 3 years.
Okay, thank you. So that's clear. So with that,
Now Kabir can please say.
with that
so
chapeau, Kabir, I think you have to repeat again what Ron said.
I cannot
No.
repeat that. I'm so
Just
sorry.
say so moved.
But
Yeah.
So moved, so
we'll
moved,
take it,
yeah.
we'll take it that you're repeating what he said.
Exactly.
Ditto is, we're going to introduce
Ditto,
a new,
exactly,
we're going to introduce a new term for council meetings, just called ditto.
Ditto.
Ditto, Ron, and we know that
All right.
you're basically repeating what he said.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yes.
And you have to vote on that motion. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Can we vote
I
on
need a
that
second
motion?
and then we vote.
Was there a second for Kabir's motion to go into executive session? Second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
And what
you.
are we doing with this?
Yes. Before we close, can I just remind everyone that EJ has put on your desk the conflict of interest statement that is required under the charter. If you could all please sign it and hand it over to EJ so that we have it in the record. I think EJ, you need to sign it as well.
Yes.
EJ, I will stop by and sign it.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay,
I've already
good.
signed mine.
Am I supposed to leave?
Yes, please.
Can I just say, because I was here for the driveway.
We have no public comment period, so
I'll send you a message.
send an email, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming,
Thank
Vicky.
you.
Right. Go to the ladies' room.
Yes, let's a bio break, as they say in this business.
Very quick.
Oh, bio break? Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. Just bio breaks. 4-minute bio breaks.
Yes, the BioBaker include popcorn.
Yeah, we will reconvene at 7:30 while everybody is taking a break.
Yeah, we-
Stretching breaks.
I was going to listen to Wilson at the time, so I don't, you want me to pass it around?
Yeah, let us just leave it on this desk and then now we move on.
And Zoom is.
If we need any technical issues or anything, one of you guys is here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be not right outside, but we'll be
Yeah,
outside.
great, okay.
And then, my computer will stay kind of here as the host.
Okay.
So, yeah, it just, right outside.
Okay, great, thank you very much.
It stopped raining, my goodness. His mother was just so crazy.
Our dog has ear infection,
Oh, poor baby.
so he can't his ears yet.
Oh.
35 days of medicine is what they're this rain is just been like. But we saw your puppy today.
Oh, yes, we have a puppy and, another adult dog. So we have two dogs, two
I
new
mean, I was
dogs.
telling Brendan, I said,
Yeah.
what, one was not enough?
Yeah. I like to say one per kid.
Oh my
But the
god.
puppy is adorable.
So cute.
She is
Nala
adorable.
so cute.
Cool.
Real quick, the, signed
Oh,
affidavit.
yeah, I signed this, here we go.
Right, give it to you.
Perfect.
Thank you. What did it say?
That you don't have any conflict of interest?
No, I do not. Thank you for asking.
Then my older dog, or the OG, Remy, or the dog,
Is he okay with it?
he's like, it's actually. He's having a blast with the puppy because she wants to play, and so he gets all his energy out, but he hates the rain, he doesn't wanna walk in the rain.
Yeah.
It's really tough to get him to walk. He used to be like bolting out the door, and now he's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, he doesn't like it, it's tough.
dog is okay in the rain, but he's not enthusiastic about it. Okay, so I think.
Who, Doug?
Yeah, just
Who's your
close
son?
the door.
EJ, you want your computer back?
No, it's the one recording the meeting.
Then we can take all the stuff, because nobody has to wait around it.
Do we record this part of the meeting?
No,
it's not recorded.
it's not being recorded, but, Kumar's still on the meeting, like, I'm the host of the meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
Still the host.
Actually, just double check that it is not recorded.
Yeah.
Good catch, I did stop that part.